Then there was Gigi, a poodle, who on cue would pee on the floor every time the doorbell rang. And then there was DJ, a schnauzer. Mom had a real affinity for schnauzers. There was another schnauzer she named Alfie. Mom trained all of them. Well, except Gigi. She was not very trainable. But she did teach them all tricks, taught them how to behave, rewarded them for good behavior. Come to think of it, she did the same for us kids and Dad, too. Now, our mom may have come from humble beginnings and started out as your typical 50s housewife. However, she really evolved from a 50s housewife to a strong, savvy, independent woman. In the mid to late 70s, she went to college. She loved going to class. One of her favorite course of studies was human sexuality. She loved going back to school, never missed a class. She really did love to learn. She would pore over medical magazines and nutrition articles. My family's nickname for her was actually Dr. Goren. If you described symptoms of an ailment, she always knew exactly what it was. She was a worldly woman. She traveled throughout Europe with Dad. She loved to travel. She had been to Ireland, England, Scotland, Wales, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Paris, Switzerland, Austria, and Italy. Her most favorite trip, however, was Israel, where at the age of 62, she was bat mitzvahed. She was an involved woman, involved with her community. As a very young woman, she became a member of Ort, and she became a member once again after moving into the Bellagio. Down here, she was also a very active member of the Jewish Heritage Club, the Yiddish Humor Club, and Hadassah. While living in Willow Bend, she sang with the Willow Bend Chorus. She would travel with the Willow Bend Chorus and sing at nursing homes and schools. Back in Douglaston, she sang as a proud member of the Samuel Field Y Choraleers. She loved to sing and perform. With the Yiddish Humor Club, she translated many stories from English to Yiddish, including The Wizard of Oz, where she performed the role of Dorothy in Yiddish. And Dad proudly photographed and videotaped every single performance she was in. Not only was she a storyteller, she was also a writer. She loved to write poetry and short stories, and at one point in time, she would send them out for publication. She may have received some red slips in the mail rejecting her stories, but she never got discouraged. She kept on writing. She was a working woman. For 15 years, Mom worked as a teacher's assistant at the Queen's Center for Multiple Handicapped Children. This was an extremely challenging job. She would push wheelchairs and change diapers and feed the kids. She loved to teach lessons and received praise from her coworkers and many, many hugs and kisses from her students, whose lives she powerfully affected. She even became just a little bit of an activist. She discovered she had a food allergy to a food tenderizer and flavor enhancer called MSG. She wrote letters to the FDA to try and get it taken off the market. In that sense, she was ahead of her time. She became very health conscious and a hardcore label reader. One day, she put a huge poster in the center of the wall in her kitchen in Douglaston. This poster highlighted every chemical that was bad for you that was put into food. We went through our refrigerators and pantry and threw out anything that had ingredients the poster highlighted in red. That was really hard for us kids. No more Lucky Charms due to the artificial color. But she was passionate about keeping her family healthy, and that had a huge positive influence on all of us. She was an incredible mom. She took a real sense of pride in her children. She was so proud of all three of us. She loved us so much. I hated going to school because it meant leaving her. Very often, a little too often for her liking, as soon as I got to school, I suddenly had a bellyache. I really did have a bellyache though. So the school nurse would call my mom, and she'd pick me up from school, and she'd take me home. Now, she had to take the bus or call a cab, mind you, because she didn't drive. But she never complained about that. She would get to school, give me a big hug, and we'd get home, and then she'd take my temperature. She'd say, no fever. She'd look at my throat. She'd say, not red. She'd make me lunch. You're hungry? Guess your bellyache is gone. Yes, it was. Healed by the magical presence of my mommy. When my brother Bruce was a toddler, about 2 years old, he enjoyed following Mom around the apartment while she was doing housework. As Mom told the story, he was helping her clean the bathroom sink, and he slipped and fell. As he fell, he actually ripped part of his scalp several inches off the top of his head. Poor thing, he was bleeding and screaming. But Mom's natural instincts clicked immediately into gear. Without panicking, she picked him up, wrapped him up, and ran down 2 flights of stairs instead of waiting for the elevator. She ran out of the apartment building and 2 blocks around the corner to a pediatrician's office where they sewed my brother back up, good as new. Her maternal instincts were so strong, someone else may have panicked and not known what to do. She was always calm in an emergency, the perfect mother hen taking care of her baby chicks. My sister Stacy has a very fond memory of how Mom used to show her love for her. When Stacy was a child and homesick from school, Mom would carefully select Stacy's favorite foods and place them on a tray and bring them to her. This is a tradition that Mom kept up as Stacy grew up. For instance, when Stacy returned home from the Peace Corps, Mom prepared all her favorite foods. And most recently, even as Mom was in the grips of her illness, she managed to direct Stacy to prepare some special matzo ball soup that the 2 of them shared. It was a very special moment for both of them. Mom's greatest pleasure was, perhaps, feeding her husband and children. Our mom had a very special appreciation for Jewish cooking. Jewish soul food, you could say, was her specialty. She did an incredible stuffed cabbage, and her kugel was always sweet and delicious. Her matzo balls always floated to the top. She took great pride in that. She loved to make us ribs. We used to call them brontosaurus ribs because they were so huge. She did a special chicken with peaches and kasha varnishkas. I think that was her favorite. She loved to feed her family. She put so much love into every single meal.